Hello YouTube, it is your boy P3, back with another kicking P3 Reads! This is actually kind of my favorite series to make right now. I'm really enjoying making P3 Reads. Gives me an excuse to read something other than my damn textbooks, so... I mean, that's really nice. But we have another Godzilla-based fan fiction for you guys today. It was sent in by Iguana Boy. Remember, if you want to recommend something for us to read, send it to us on Twitter at B3 Productions. But this is like a story that takes place between the 1998 Godzilla movie and Godzilla the Animated Series. It's about the baby Godzilla Jr. It's called Godzilla Baby Zilla Part 1 by SmashProX on DeviantArt. I didn't even know they had fanfics on DeviantArt. I thought it was just cringy Sonic the Hedgehog photos and furry shit. But apparently they have fanfiction also. It says, Note! This is about Godzilla, or better yet, Zilla Jr., from Godzilla the series. If you know nothing about it, turn back and look it up before reading, because monsters are the only thing in this. They will be talking. Okay, you guys ready to start? Let's start. It had been a couple of days since Nick had scared off baby Zilla Jr., but because his dad is dead, we're just gonna call him Zilla. Jesus Christ. Between Zilla running off as a baby and coming back as almost an adult months later, what was he doing then? Bad sentence. Nick was wrong when he said Zilla had run off nowhere near the Atlantic Ocean. Zilla's dad only went there to lay eggs. Zilla was playful and curious. He swam far from the Atlantic Ocean looking for a place to stay. He swam for days. So in lizard years, he's 13 years old because of his rapid growth. This is not good so far. He dipped occasionally for fish, but he was getting really tired. His muscles were giving out. Finally, he saw an island, just an inn, not an, just an inn, in the distance. Remember, he was only 13, so he was still the size of a person. You just told us he was 13. You don't have to remind us 2 sentences later. Finally, a place to stop, Zilla thought. He went up on the beach and shook the water off of him. He looked around. It looked a bit cold, but there's gotta be more here, Zilla said, and wandered into the island. Being a newborn and being the size of a velociraptor, Zilla was a little scared. Is he the size of a human or is he the size of a velociraptor? Whatever. But when he went deep enough into the island, he found it was a tropical paradise. Wow, Zilla thought. He suddenly started getting hungry. Just then, a butterfly came fluttering in. Zilla kept trying to chomp it. That can't be any nutritional value to him. He has to be just playing. He was chasing it, jumping and laughing, until he bumped into something. Someone, actually. Zilla right away got on his feet and made a dash for it. But when he looked back, the thing he bumped into hid in the shadows and was shaking bad. It's scared of me, Zilla thought. Are you okay? Zilla asked, going back. The thing went deeper into the shadows. No, don't go. Sorry for bumping into you, Zilla said. The thing stopped shaking. You're not gonna hurt me? The thing asked. Zilla chuckled. No, not unless you're gonna bite me. Ah! Zilla laughed. The thing stepped out of the shadows on all fours. Zilla's eyes went wide open. It was a girl, a mutated light brown lizard, about his age. Zilla said. He slowly started to back away. He didn't know how to react. Hey, where are you going? The girl asked. So he ran away, came back, but upon seeing who it was, it starts to leave again? Whatever. Zilla shook his head and went back. Sorry, I don't know how to meet others. But you just try... This is so bad. Zilla said. What's your name? The girl asked, going on her hind legs, making her the same size as Zilla. Oh, Godzilla, but Zilla's okay, Zilla said. My name's Komodo-Thrax, the girl said, blinking her eyes. Zilla's face looked nervous. Then Zilla looked around. Is there anything to eat here? Zilla asked. Yeah, there's a lake near here. Follow me, Komodo-Thrax said, going on all fours, and Zilla followed her by her side to the lake. Remember, they were 13 and still babies. You don't have to keep telling us that. The size of people. So now they're back to the size of humans. So anything dangerous to a person is dangerous to them. Honestly, if Komodo Thrax is this small at this point, wouldn't she just be the size of a regular Komodo dragon? I guess they didn't think about that. How would you be able to tell her apart from a regular one? Just because she can get on her hind legs is really the only difference between her and a regular Komodo dragon at this point. Zilla kept looking at Komodo Thrax. She had big green eyes. A million things kept going through his head, and he eventually ran into a tree. Ow, Zilla said. Komodo Thrax laughed. You all right? She chuckled. Yeah, Zilla said, rubbing his head. When they got to the lake, Komodo Thrax settled down and went to sleep. Zilla looked and found a bunch of fish and jumped in the water, accidentally smashing Komodo Thrax. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hey, she said, lifting her head. Zilla popped his head out of the water. Oh, sorry, I'm really sorry, Zilla said, going red. Komodo Thrax laughed. What? Zilla asked. Your face. It's as red as an apple, Komodo Thrax said. Zilla looked into the water. He saw he was blushing really bad. He dipped in right away to hide it and catch some fish. Komodo Thrax raised her head and saw Zilla. Oh my god. Though he was just 13, he was an amazing swimmer. That's the 4th time they've told us he was 13. Also, we know he's an amazing swimmer because his ass just swam across the ocean. The author thinks we're idiots. The author thinks we are absolute idiots. He caught 3 fish easy. He jumped out of the water and shook, getting Komodo Thrax again. Sorry, Zilla said with a mouthful of fish. He put the 3 fish down and ate one. Komodo Thrax, are you hungry? Zilla asked. Komodo Thrax got up and ate one. Good, Komodo Thrax said. There was one left. Zilla clawed it, splitting it 50-50. They both ate their ends, and then it started to rain. Aw, man, Zilla said. Zilla started to run off when, wait, Zilla, I have a cave, Komodo Thrax yelled. Zilla came back and went with Komodo Thrax. Thanks for the fish, though, Komodo Thrax said, smiling to Zilla. You're welcome, Zilla said. What a story, y'all. What a story. They went into Komodo Thrax's cave, but they were still cold. Brr, Komodo Thrax said. Oh, wait, I got this, Zilla said, and tried to use atomic breath. But because he was only 13 and still learning, he only spit out atomic chunks. Stop telling us he's only 13. Also, what the fuck are atomic chunks? Little bits of fire spit out of his mouth, but it was enough to make a small fire. Zilla and Komodo Thrax sat next to each other, trying to keep warm. Komodo Thrax, do you have any, parents? Zilla asked. Komodo Thrax looked at the ground. I did, she said. They got killed by something. Jesus. The girl said, starting to cry. Oh no, I'm sorry, Zilla said, putting his tail on her. What about you? She asked Zilla. Well, from what I heard, there was a big boom, and I couldn't find my dad anywhere in sight. I think he died from the boom I heard from my egg, but I did see this one guy, same size as me, who acted and smelled like my dad. I think he was my stepdad, but then a big bolt of lightning struck, so I got out of there. All in all, my parents are dead and I never knew them. Zilla said. Komodo Thrax then put her tail around him, and he started to blush. He had butterflies in his stomach. Almost literally, because he did try to eat one. Zilla, you're going red again, Komodo Thrax said. Zilla tried to hide his face. Are you alright? Komodo Thrax asked. Yeah, Zilla said. Okay, so I know I just yawned, but the next word is actually yawn. Well, I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed, Zilla said, curling up. As he was laying down, he felt something touch him. He looked over and Komodo Thrax was laying down with him in front of him. Good night, Zilla, Komodo Thrax said. Good night, Komodo Thrax, Zilla said. And they fell asleep. Ooh la la. That's the end of part 1. I think we have plenty of time to go ahead and do another part or two. That wasn't very long at all. So here's Godzilla Baby Zilla Part 2 by SmashProX. X! Now, I did pre-read part 1 just to make sure this was something that I would want to do on the show. He said as if he was a professional. But I haven't read parts 2 onward at all. So this is all going to be brand new to me. Morning came over the island, but Zilla and Komodothrax were still sleeping. Zilla's tail moved even in his sleep. His tail was moving at Komodothrax's foot, and it was tickling her. Hee hee hee, she said as she woke up. She looked and saw Zilla's tail tickling her foot. Zilla, Komodothrax said. Zilla woke up slowly, his tail stretched as he rubbed his eyes. Zilla looked around and remembered he was with Komodothrax. Zilla looked at Komodothrax, and even though she had just woken up, she still had big, green, beautiful eyes. What a dumb sentence. Even though she had just woken up, her eyes were still there, and they were still green. Did he think she would lose her eyes in her sleep? And he also spelled beautiful wrong. Morning, Komodothrax said. Morning. Whew, Zilla said. He does yawn in the book. They were both still 13 and the size of humans. I mean, I guess it's part 2, so reminding us of that once in part 2 is fine. If they mention that they're 13 again in this part, I'm going to be pissed as shit. I'm going to go fishing. Should wake me up, Zilla said. Okay, I'm going to go eat fruit, Komodothrax said. So they went separate ways, and Zilla found the lake. He had just caught a fish when he heard a scream. Was that Komodothrax? Zilla thought, gulped the fish, and ran at the scream. Sure enough, it was Komodothrax, face to face with a normal king cobra. Not even a mutant one. This might not seem like much to mutants, but they were just the size of humans, which they just told us. So it's equally dangerous to them. Oh my god. The king cobra struck at Komodothrax's leg and bit her. She fell to the ground right away. Komodothrax! Zilla yelled and ran to her. She was unconscious. Zilla started to cry, but then felt very angry and turned his attention to the king cobra. He was so angry, he had no more fear. He wasn't gonna run away anymore! Zilla roared as best he could at the king cobra. It backed up a bit and suddenly shrieked as it showed its fangs. Zilla snarled. I don't know how king cobras normally behave, but lots of snakes that are venomous will give a warning bite first. So Komodothrax is probably fine, because their venom's kind of precious, right? So, she's probably alright. He leapt at the king cobra and swiped at it. It shrieked again and tried to bite him, but he slapped his tail at it. The king cobra still got up. Zilla had an idea. He should just shoot fire at it. I know he can only shoot chunks, but it's still fucking fire. He started to dig. The king cobra chased him through the tunnel. When he got to the surface, Zilla caught it and threw it into the air. And with all the anger he had, he tried to successfully use atomic breath on the king cobra. It was badly hurt, but the breath was radioactive. Normally I would say snakes don't chase, but I think the king cobra might actually chase people. There is a species of cobra that chases, I'm pretty sure of it, so that might actually be accurate. The king cobra got bigger and was suddenly a bit bigger than Zilla. So he mutated it with his breath? That's a little dumb. Zilla was so angry he didn't flinch. I don't care if you're the size of my dad. How big did this thing get? Zilla snapped. The king cobra slapped his tail at Zilla, but he jumped over it and dug his claws into it and climbed up. I think there's a king cobra monster in the animated series, so I think this is supposed to be an origin for that monster. I don't know. I haven't watched it in a while because it sucks. But the king cobra managed to shake him off. He then shot poison from its mouth. He, then it. But Zilla countered it by firing atomic breath. Last time he fired atomic breath, it turned the cobra into a giant, so why would he do it again? King Cobra tried to bite him again, but Zilla used atomic breath, which you just told us, which went into the King Cobra and he fell. He got back up badly hurt. Zilla snarled and roared at it and scared it off. Why would the roar scare it off if it's as big as a full-grown Godzilla? Zilla panted. Did I really do that? Zilla thought, looking at his claws, but then he remembered. He went back to Komodothrax, who was weak but awake. I saw that, Komodothrax said. Zilla was worried what the poison would do to her. You scared it off before it got me with enough poison. I'll be fine, Komodothrax said. But Zilla didn't believe this one bit. Komodothrax started to have tunnel vision. Zilla was nudging her with his head. He picked her up with his head and put her on his back. What are you doing? Komodothrax said. I'm taking you home, Zilla said and started to the cave. No, I want to go to the beach, Komodothrax said. So Zilla brought Komodothrax to the beach. He sat her down on the beach. Creative writing tip, don't end multiple sentences in the row with the same word. Zilla was said the guy that can't read. Zilla was really worried about her. He started to whimper. Plus he started to cry. Zilla, Komodothrax said. I'll be fine, she said. That's what they all say, Zilla said with a sad look on his face and began crying a bit. Wasn't he already crying? Are you that worried about me? Komodothrax asked. Zilla nodded. Komodothrax felt fuzzy and warm and actually got rid of the pain. The minute she could walk, she tackled Zilla. Not really tackled, but she hugged him. Just tell us that. Zilla was so surprised he was on the ground with Komodothrax over him. Then there's giggled in like... just... poorly written. Well, thanks for taking care of me, Komodothrax said. Zilla was so unbelievably nervous. Komodothrax got off him and Zilla looked off out of the island. Maybe I should keep going, Zilla said. What? You're gonna leave? Komodothrax said, surprised and sad. Zilla turned. You want me to stay? Zilla was now surprised. Yeah, absolutely, Komodothrax said. Okay, Zilla said. Komodothrax was overjoyed. She stood on her hind legs and hugged Zilla. This time Zilla hugged back. But it didn't mean that was it for Zilla as a baby? What does that sentence mean? I don't know. That was also very short, so we're going to go ahead into part 3 of Godzilla Baby Zilla by SmashProX. Jesus Christ. Zilla had accepted Komodothrax's invitation to stay on her island. Zilla really had nowhere else to go. So Zilla went back to the beach to store upon fish when he caught a mouthful of 3. Remember, he was only 13 and the size of a person. He ain't changing size in this. Oh, I hate this story. It's not good. He was looking for a place. I gotta find a place to stay. I'm sure Komodothrax doesn't want to smell fish all the time, Zilla thought. Well, she eats fish too. Zilla was looking all over the island when something popped out in front of him. Ah! Zilla jumped, making him lose all his fish. It was Komodothrax. Tee-hee, scared you, didn't I? She laughed. Uh-huh, Zilla said, picking up his fish. Oh, sorry, didn't know you had food with you, Komodothrax said. It's not food right now. I'm looking for a place to stay. I'm sure you don't want to smell fish all the time, Zilla said. Actually, there's another little cave in my cave where you can keep the fish, Komodothrax said. Gee, thanks, Zilla said, and they both headed for Komodothrax's cave. Zilla thought about something. You know, ever since I met you, you've been willing to help me with everything, Zilla said. Komodothrax scratched her head with her tail, due to her walking on all fours. Well, even when you scared me, you tried to be nice to me. You helped me with the King Cobra, remember? Komodothrax said. Zilla tried to shrug off that painful memory. He'd been haunted by it ever since. Komodothrax also almost died. Oh, sorry for reminding you, Komodothrax said, knowing how scary it was for Zilla. What a story. When they got to Komodothrax's cave, they found the crevice to put the fish. I don't mind the smell of trout anyway, Komodothrax said. Zilla chuckled. As they were putting the fish away, they heard a noise. Honk! What the? Komodothrax said. I'm imagining it's like a giant Canadian goose. What was that? She asked, a little scared. Zilla suddenly remembered his escape from Manhattan. A boat, he said, and he suddenly took off. They went near the beach, and sure enough, there was a boat. It wasn't a usual boat like Zilla saw from the fishing harbor. It was a good-looking boat. Must be for fancy people, Zilla said. They were setting up camp on the beach. Some packed guns and such weapons? There was a bunch of weird stuff everywhere. Okay, so we look around in the morning, they overheard one guy say. Zilla, they're gonna look around the island, Komodothrax gasped. And stuff anyone can find? They gotta be hunters, Zilla said. Actually, they were hunting with a bunch of tourists and millionaires. We gotta be really quiet, Zilla said. They tried to sneak away, but Komodothrax accidentally stepped on Zilla's tail, making him breathe his weak yellow atomic breath. And then it says, yes, because it is weak, it is yellow. The hunters saw his atomic breath. Quick, I think we've got a big one, the fat one said. He had a bald head and a scar on his left eye. His beard was black and short. His name was Drake. They climbed up the mountain and saw the tropical paradise. How we, the more beautiful, every time they use the word beautiful in this, they spell it a different way. Beutifull. Jesus Christ. The more beautiful, the more bountiful, the tall one said. He had yellow hair and a little mustache. His name was Robert. The tourists and millionaires followed them because they thought it was safe with two men with guns. Oh, it is beautiful! A rich woman with wire in front of her face from her hat said. Yes, that kind of rich people? What does that mean? This story, man, this story. They looked around and unfortunately found Zilla's footprints. God, so many misspelled words. Jeez, like, this was written in like 2010. So if SmashProX came back and looked at this, they would probably just cringe. They would probably just cringe. But everyone's entitled to their cringy middle school fan fiction. So, hey Drake, what do you make of it? Robert said. It looks like a raptor foot, believe it or not, Drake said. Raptor? As in dinosaur? That's preposterous! A man said, putting a single glass in front of his eye. Well, this island haven't been found yet, so maybe some dinosaurs lived on. What a sentence, Drake said. How-wee! We bring them show people, we'll be stinking rich, Robert said. They followed the trails until they found Zilla and Komodothrax. Uh-oh, Komodothrax said. Not good, Zilla said. Hoo-wee, you were right, Drake. 2 dinosaurs. We even got them as a couple, Robert said. A couple? Zilla said in complete shock. Komodothrax just laughed? You're about to be shot at. Don't laugh. Good gracious, dinosaurs did survive, a rich woman said. Yep, and they're ours, Drake said, aiming his rifle. Run, Komodothrax, Zilla said, and they ran just in time for the shot to be missed. Komodothrax has to just look like a regular Komodo dragon, though. Maybe they've never seen a Komodo dragon. It's kind of bitchly of me to assume everyone's seen a Komodo dragon. Dang it, I missed! No, wait, this is Drake. Dang it, I missed! No one makes me miss, Drake said. Well, looks like we got a bit of a challenge then, eh? Robert said. Everyone chased after the pair. So, got any ideas? Komodothrax asked. Zilla looked behind him. Yeah, run faster, Zilla said. Because of Zilla having the build of a raptor, he was able to run dang fast. But even though she was running on all fours, Komodothrax wasn't as fast as Zilla. Zilla, she yelled. He looked back and saw Komodothrax falling behind. She even tripped on a branch. Zilla was horrified as he saw the hunters catch up to her as she was down. You're mine, Robert said, lifting his gun. Komodothrax screamed. Zilla, without thinking twice, charged at Robert, knocking him over. Again, he picked up Komodothrax on his back and ran. This lizard is a lot of trouble, Robert said, getting up. Yeah, but the prize it'll make is all worthwhile, Drake said. The tourists and millionaires just watched and followed. Do you have to say tourists and millionaires? I feel like the only people that could afford this trip, the way you're describing it, are millionaires. So just say millionaires, just say tourists, or say millionaire tourists. Don't say millionaires and tourists. Because it's obvious you mean the same people. After running and shooting and missing for a while, Drake and Robert had Zilla and Komodothrax cornered in a cave. Not Komodothrax's cave. Why don't they just bite their fucking heads off? I don't know. They aimed their guns. Zilla looked at Commodithrax and felt like he needed to keep going, no matter how bad it looked. He quickly had an idea. Before they shot, Zilla used atomic breath on the ceiling and caused rocks to fall between them while everyone was covering their... While everyone was covering their eyes, Zilla quickly dug a hole and Commodithrax and him escaped. Drake climbed over and saw the hole. "Dang it," Drake said, and they got out of the cave and went back to the camp. When they got there, Zilla was there, snarling. He was still upset they almost killed Commodithrax. "Come on," Zilla said. "I'll take you on," he said, taking out his claws. "Oh, looks like Raptor Boy is finally gonna play," Drake said. Both Drake and Robert were about to bring up their guns, but a weak atomic breath knocked the gun out of their hands and burned them to a crisp! It was Commodithrax, so I guess she also has atomic breath? I don't remember if she did in the show or not. She winked at Zilla and he winked back. "I used to wrestle crocodiles back home anyway," Drake said. Nice exposition. He took off his shirt and came at Zilla with pure muscle! Oh, brother, Zilla thought, but the impact knocked Zilla some distance. Whoa, Zilla thought, getting up. Drake came running again, but Zilla did the oddest thing. He retracted his claws and decided to take him on with his muscle. Drake ran at him with his shoulder, but Zilla jumped over him and whipped him with his tail. "I'm coming!" Robert said. Spelled wrong, by the way. And took off his shirt and came at Zilla. Why are they taking their shirts off? Both are running at him. When are they ever going to learn this trick, Zilla thought, and jumped in time for Robert and Drake to collide. "Watch where you're going," Drake said. Drake uppercut Zilla, but he dodged and punched Drake in the face. Every time I say a sentence that sounds weird, that's how it's written, I promise. Robert grabbed Zilla's tail and threw him to a rock wall. How strong are these guys? Robert held him while Drake was about to ram him. He was about to ram him. You just told us that. When Commodithrax headbutted Robert, Drake rammed into the rock. "Commodithrax," Zilla said. "I'll take String Bean and you take Santa." Commodithrax said. The tourists and millionaires were watching the fight. "Oh, this is gonna be good," a tourist with a video camera said. It was 2-on-2. Zilla charged at Drake, but he grabbed Zilla and threw him over on the ground. Oh my god, just bite their heads off. Burn them to a crisp with atomic fire. There's so much... He attempted to squash him, but Zilla moved out of the way and punched Drake's stomach. I like how he's punching, that's a natural movement for him. Robert tried to kick Commodithrax, but she ducked and whipped his legs and threw him with her tail. She tried to headbutt him, but he got up in time and threw her. Both Zilla and Commodithrax were back to back. "Any ideas?" Commodithrax asked. "Yeah, throw him on the boat," Zilla said. They both caught the hunters by the tail and threw him on the boat. "We were beaten by Raptor Boy and his girl," Drake said. "She's not my girl!" Zilla yelled, as if they can understand his ass. Also, at the beginning of the series, they said there would only be monsters, so the monsters would talk for that reason, and now the monsters are talking to the people. Zilla then spelled his name in the sand for the hunters to see. "Zilla, huh? We're gonna fight again, Zilla," Drake said. Why did he do that? How did he know to do that? That's so weird. The tourists and millionaires came near them. "Oh, they're okay," Zilla said. They started to scratch and pet them. "Wow, so not all of them are ruthless?" Commodithrax asked. "Nah, a few are nice. Just look out for the ones in uniforms," Zilla said. "They packed up the people's gear. They don't want us here," one tourist said. They all packed up and left on the boat. Weird that the tourists were, so affectionate towards them, even though they came to the island to watch animals be slaughtered. "One day I'm gonna get Zilla and his girl," Drake said. "It's Commodithrax. She spelled her name too." Robert said, "Either way, I'm gonna get both of them." Jesus fucking Christ. Let's see how long part 4 is. Not very long at all. Let's continue. "We did it," Zilla said, and they did a high five with their tails. "Hey Zilla, why were you so upset when he said we were a couple?" "It's a simple mistake," Commodithrax said. Zilla shook his head. "Sorry," Zilla said. and they went back to doing what they wanted to do. Zilla went swimming and Komodothrax was on the beach. Trout, Zilla thought. He caught a couple when he felt something. What the, Zilla wondered. It looked like seaweed. Suddenly it grabbed his leg. Oh no, Zilla said. He pulled and pulled. And then there's a word that's spelled so incorrectly I don't know what it is. A tug of water with it. Finally he pulled hard and the thing flew out of the water. Zilla popped his head out. Where is it? Zilla asked. Oh, that flying thing? It flew into the forest, Komodothrax said. She's acting like it didn't just assault him. This story, man, is crazy. Zilla took off. Komodothrax was confused, so she followed him. Zilla looked around. What was that thing? Komodothrax asked Zilla. I think it was another monster. An octopus. Zilla said. They couldn't find it, though. I mean, if they're the size of humans, as they say, it might just be a normal fucking octopus. They couldn't find it, though. Zilla was concerned. Come on, Zilla, it's gone, Komodothrax said. But when they went back to Komodothrax's cave, the octopus was eating all the fish. Hey, Zilla said, and used his atomic breath on it. It roasted right away. Fried calamari tonight? Zilla asked. At night, they did have the octopus. Zilla made another fire, but this one was small. Both of them were taking little bites of the octopus. Zilla even put his on a stick. Did Zilla just enter the Stone Age? I think so. Zilla, Komodothrax said. Do you like me? She asked. Zilla was startled by this question. He swallowed the octopus and the stick. As a friend, he quickly asked. Komodothrax was quiet. Of course, she lied. Zilla breathed a sigh of relief. You're a really good friend, Zilla said. Thanks, Komodothrax said with a smile. Now where's my stick? Zilla asked. Tee, you ate it, Komodothrax said. Zilla got a new stick and a piece of octopus, and while he was roasting it, Komodothrax rested on his side. At first Zilla was surprised, but he just put his arm around her. When Zilla curled up and fell asleep, Komodothrax went over and curled up next to him. Weren't they already curled up together? It's like the author writes a sentence, immediately forgets they wrote what they wrote, and then writes another sentence. This is so weird. In the morning, Zilla was about to have breakfast when... All the fish are gone, Zilla yelled. What? Komodothrax said. They looked in the crevice and the fish were gone. All they found was ink. The octopus, Zilla said. They went to the beach. They saw a trail of fish. I'm going in. They forgot they killed the octopus. The author forgot they killed the octopus. I mean, it could be a different octopus, but the way it's written, it is heavily, heavily implied that it's the same octopus. Komodothrax started, but Zilla already jumped in. Careful. Zilla's radioactive lungs made him able to stay in the water for hours on end. Oh my god. He looked and found a bunch of baby squids. Okay, are they squids or are they octopi? Okay, so I feel like the way they wrote that sentence, they actually did forget that they killed the octopus. He used his atomic breath to scare the baby octopuses away. Then 5 big octopuses started to go to Zilla. Whoa, Zilla said. There are a bunch of octopus in there. And he used his atomic breath again, and all 5 got roasted! I should insert sound effects, but I'm too lazy. He kept swimming and found a cave. He went in, naturally, and surfaced. He saw an outrageous amount of octopuses. I love that word, octopuses. Low! He pushed through them and saw an enormous octopus. It was the size of a boulder. Where's my fish? He said. Oh, all that fish was yours, the octopus rumbled. All the other octopuses ran off as they knew what was going to happen. I mean, Zilla, they've obviously been eaten. What's more trouble, Zilla? Catching more fish or fighting a giant octopus? What's more trouble, Zilla? Well, my fish are right there, the octopus said. Those are my fish, Zilla snapped. They are mine now, the octopus said. I see where this is going, Zilla said, getting out his claws. Zilla charged at the octopus, who actually jumped over him. Whoa, this guy's mobile, Zilla thought. The octopus whacked Zilla with a tentacle. He sent all his tentacles at Zilla. He ducked, then jumped, then grabbed 2 of them and pulled himself to the octopus's face. Wow. He whipped his tail and kicked himself away. The octopus then shot ink at Zilla. Wait, this isn't ink, Zilla smelled. The octopus jumped and tried to slam into Zilla, but he moved just in time. The octopus then shot ink at Zilla, but he countered it with atomic breath. Bad idea. They countered it for 5 seconds and the cave exploded. They countered it for 5 seconds and the cave exploded. What does that mean? Komodothrax was lying on the beach. I wonder how Zilla's doing, she wondered. Just then the water shot up and a loud explosion came up. Zilla, she screamed. The octopus's body landed on the beach and tried to make a run for it, but Komodothrax used her atomic breath and it blew up. Why didn't Zilla just do that in the first place? I mean, it's instantly beaten every octopus they've used it on. Just do it in the first place. Luckily, it wasn't near her. Just then, she saw a gray speck fly out of the water from the explosion. It was Zilla. He landed headfirst into the water. Even though she wasn't that kind of lizard, Komodothrax jumped in the water and got Zilla. She dragged him on the beach. She listened for a heartbeat. It was dying out. Zilla, she yelled, but he didn't wake up. Finally, she smacked her tail on his stomach. He spit water out of his mouth and coughed. Ugh, he said. Are you okay, she said. Yeah, I think so, Zilla said, holding his head. Komodothrax leapt at him, hugging him. You were worried? About me? Zilla asked. Jesus. Komodothrax nodded, still hugging him. She was in fact crying now. Are you okay? Zilla asked, pulling Komodothrax away. Yeah, she said. Zilla used his tail to brush off her tears. She smiled at him and he smiled back. I gotta start catching fish again. All of them are gone, Zilla said. So he went right back fishing with Komodothrax watching. Don't they have like a bunch of octopi they can eat or whatever? What's the plural of octopus? Oh, that's part 4. I think it looks like we're halfway through it, honestly. I'm gonna go on to part 5. Also, it keeps saying, like they've cried multiple times. Normally I would say, oh, they're reptiles. They shouldn't have tear ducts. But they're also mutants, so I'm gonna let it slide. Alright, let's start part 5 here. It was really early in the morning when Zilla got up. He tried not to wake Komodothrax, as she always slept next to him all the time. He tiptoed away and went into the jungle. I've been holding it in for too long, Zilla said. He started to grab enormous flowers. Yep, Zilla was actually going to try to tell Komodothrax. As he picked the last flower, it oozed from the stem. Ew, oh well, Zilla said. As he walked through the jungle, he was wondering how he would approach Komodothrax after all. He was still really nervous around her. He was thinking so much, he didn't hear footsteps. Boo! Zilla jumped and dropped the flowers. He turned around and his eyes widened. Komodothrax, he said. Yeah, who were you expecting? King Ghidorah, she laughed. So King Ghidorah exists in this universe. Zilla quickly noticed. He dropped the flowers and quickly started to pick them up. What did you drop? She asked, looking over. My fish, Zilla quickly said. He still didn't know how to approach Komodothrax, so he wasn't ready. Let me help you, she said. No, it's okay, Zilla said, but it was too late. Komodothrax saw the flowers. Flowers, she asked? She had a puzzled look on her face. Zilla looked so nervous it was nowhere near funny. It's bait. Bait for the fish, Zilla said quickly. Really? Komodothrax asked, with a weird look on her face. Yeah, gotta go, I'm running short on fish, Zilla said and took off. He's pretty nervous this morning, Komodothrax thought. You think? Zilla was walking through the jungle, thinking of an approach for Komodothrax. As he was thinking, he felt a nip on his tail. Ow! When he looked at the flowers, one of them had a mouth. It shrieked at him. Ah! He said, and quickly burned it with atomic breath. That was the same one that had the ooze, Zilla thought, and went back to look at it. Komodothrax saw him and walked alongside him. What is it? She asked. Those flowers are dangerous, Zilla said. How? Komodothrax said. One of them bit my tail, Zilla said. When you end I've been thinking this for a while. Don't end every bit of dialogue with so-and-so said, so-and-so said, so-and-so said, so-and-so said. It gets tedious. He found the batch where he found it and burned them all with atomic fire. The The ground started to shake. "I think you just pushed Mother Nature's buttons, Zilla," Komodothrax yelled. Out from the ground popped a plant that looked like a Venus flytrap, but had an eye in its mouth just above its throat, and it was big. Zilla had an idea of burning it down with atomic breath, and it was working. The plant used its roots to grab Zilla, but it failed. He was too quick, so it took Komodothrax. Then it went underground. If that monster is a plant and it needs vitamins, then I need to suck vitamin out of living things. And Komodothrax is on the top of the menu? Zilla realized and jumped into the hole. What a weird fucking thought. The plant stuck its roots all around the ground around it, and put its roots around Komodothrax, squeezing her. Her life was draining away as she squirmed and grunted to get free. Just then a yellow fire burned the root that was holding her, and she fell on the ground and ran away from it. It was Zilla. Oh, no fucking shit. Remind me to thank you after, Komodothrax said. Or just thank him now. Zilla ran to the plant and dodged the tree it swung. Okay. It tried to bite Zilla, but he dodged it and bit the face. He clawed at the face. The plant rose and shrieked in pain. Zilla fired his atomic breath, but the plant countered it with corrosive acid from its chest. All its roots went to Zilla, but Komodothrax used her atomic breath to get rid of them. She's kind of... never mind. Komodothrax, you're tired, Zilla said. But then the plant tried to bite them, but they dodged. Zilla then found out how to kill it. Keep it distracted, Zilla yelled. Oh, Jesus. He headed for the plant while Komodothrax was busy distracting it. A root managed to grab her leg through and was wrapping around her. Zilla, hurry up, Komodothrax yelled. Zilla managed to climb up to the plant's mouth. Hello, Zilla said. As the plant shrieked, Zilla used his atomic breath at the plant's eye. Zilla jumped off and it dropped Komodothrax. It was about to blow. Up the hole, quick, Zilla said, and both of them went up. The plant did blow. When they got to the surface, the whole field was covered in flowers. Hey, Zilla, look at this, Komodothrax yelled. Zilla couldn't believe what he saw. The flowers arranged themselves in color as a heart. In the heart it said Zilla and Komodothrax? How did this happen? Zilla sat down and looked really nervous. His tongue was tingling, his stomach had butterflies, he was sweating, and his face was red. Komodothrax sat next to him. Zilla, she said, I don't like you, Komodothrax. It's more than that, Zilla said. Komodothrax was listening very clearly. I also love you. This is so cringy, Zilla said, and he grabbed some flowers and gave them to Komodothrax. He was really scared of what her reaction would be. She put her tail around him. She smiled greatly at him. I've been waiting a long time for you to say that, Komodothrax said with a tear in her eye. She hugged Zilla and he hugged back. They put their tails around each other. Komodothrax pulled back to look at Zilla's orange eyes. Actually, I love you too, she said, and she kissed him. Zilla's eyes went wide open to this sudden action. He just smiled and returned it. They just sat and hugged each other, watching the petals fly. That's kind of a nice romantic ending. Crazy stuff. That's part 5. Part 5 is the last entry on the list. But there's also part 6, 7, and 8. So, this is the order they're listed in to read them in. Part 1, Part 3, Part 2, Part 7, Part 6, Part 8, and Part 5. But I've read them in orders Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, Part 5. So now we're going to read Part 6. And see if these are actually in the right order and labeled correctly. Because I'm starting to think they are. Not. Godzilla Baby Zilla Part 6 by SmashProX. Okay, here we go. Zilla had an amazing week so far. He found a paradise, met Komodothrax, fell in love with her, learned the fight, and admitted his feelings. Okay, so they're just listed in the wrong order, but the part numbers are correct. It was the middle of the night. Zilla and Komodothrax were sleeping with each other as usual when Zilla woke up with a bad feeling in his stomach. Zilla, what is it? Komodothrax asked, waking up. Something's wrong, Zilla said, and started to head off. Wait for me, Komodothrax said. Zilla followed his instincts through the jungle. Zilla, I hope you're right about... Wait, she hopes he's right about there being something wrong? Shh, Zilla said, covering Komodo Thrax's mouth. They peeked through the bushes and found a camp. They're back, Zilla said. Drake and Robert. They brought a logger, for some reason, another hunter, and a greedy millionaire. You're kidding, right? The logger said. Nope, he was gray, small, and he packed a bunch. Packed a punch. Packed a punch. Fucking read these before you post them. Oh my god. Drake said. He even wrote his name in the sand. Zilla. Ugh, Jesus. And he had a mate, Robert said. Zilla shook his head a little. They might have loved each other, but they weren't a couple? What? Of course you're a fucking couple. I like the idea, Komodo Thrax whispered. Zilla gave her a smile. A mate? What kind of raptor has a mate? The millionaire asked. What are you fucking talking about? How do you think animals reproduce, you fucking dumbass bitch? This is so poorly written. I think it was a monitor lizard, Robert said. Try a Komodo dragon. So they did know what a Komodo dragon was. Komodo Thrax said, offended. Oh, no, they didn't say that. She said it. It's laid out so poorly, you can't tell who's talking until it's all said and done. But her mate Zilla, he was really smart. He spied on us at the beach. He could even be spying us right now. He's spying us! Drake said. Zilla said Komodo Thrax looked at each other. Oh, Zilla and Komodo Thrax looked at each other and thought it was time to go. But as they were going, the bushes made rustling noises. Did you hear that? Zilla was spying on us, Drake said. Zilla and Komodo Thrax made a dash for it. Should we chase him, Robert asked. Nah, it's too late now, Drake said. But you hear me, Zilla? And indeed Zilla could hear him. I will get your head. Both of the young mutants managed to reach the cave, but both were tuckered out. We worry about this in the morning, Zilla said, and both of them went to sleep. In the morning, they were awoken by a loud noise. What the? Zilla wondered. He looked outside and saw nothing. I have a bad feeling about this, Zilla said. What a cliche. They both looked around until they found a terrible sight. The people were cutting down the jungle! They're ruining it just to find us, Komodo Thrax asked. They were using a usual logging truck. The one with two humongous saw blades in the front. They got more stuff up their sleeves. I want you to go back to the cave and hide in the crevice, Zilla said. Are you serious? Komodo Thrax asked. Yes, Zilla said, with a little bit of a worried look on his face. Komodo Thrax understood Zilla was just trying to protect her, but she wanted to do the same thing. Okay, Komodo Thrax said and went off. Meanwhile, Zilla got out his claws and went to the logging truck. I don't remember Godzilla having retractable claws. Whatever. Look, that's him. That's Zilla. Ready, Robert? Drake asked. Ready, Robert said. I'm going to start using the accent for Robert again. The logging guy was driving. Cut him, Drake yelled. The truck charged at Zilla. Zilla charged at the truck. He jumped up and got on the roof. Thought he might do that, Drake said. Robert got out his gun and went on the roof. He shot at Zilla, but he jumped at Robert and swung him off. Zilla clawed the roof open and clawed the controls. Zilla jumped off and watched the truck go haywire. It crashed into a tree. Everyone came out coughing. Zilla at first felt successful, but then something was wrong. The millionaire and the extra hunter were missing. Drake noticed Zilla looked confused. Oh, wondering where our friends are at? I think your girlfriend will answer the door, Drake said. Zilla's eyes widened and bolted to the cave. When he got there, he looked in the crevice. Komodo Thrax was gone. Zilla roared out of sadness and anger. Oh boy. Zilla went back to the camp, but it was gone. Whew, that was fast. Zilla's eyes watered, but then he thought, the beach! He ran and saw the boat taking off. Zilla snarled. He jumped in the water and easily dug his claws into the boat and climbed in. He looked in every window, finally the storage room. Well, we didn't get Zilla, but this gal will do, Drake said. Komodo Thrax was sitting scared in a cage. Are you going to show it live? The hunter asked. No way. Its skin is going to get me big bucks, Drake said, and got out his gun. If you were going to kill it the whole time, why did you bother capturing it, getting it in a cage, and getting it on the boat? Why did you bother? That had to be way harder. With Komodo Thrax being in a cage, he had a clear shot. Zilla broke the window, jumped in, and roared. Zilla, Komodo Thrax said happily. Zilla started to approach them when Drake did a heartless move. Take another step, Zilla, and your girlfriend is one with the clouds. Ugh, Drake said, pointing at Comodothrax. Zilla was scared, so he got down. You're gonna give in, Comodothrax said. Better me than you, Zilla said sadly. Once they shoot you, Zilla, they're just gonna turn around and shoot her. Fucking dumbass. Throw the gal off the ship. Zilla's worth more, Drake said. Okay, so Drake's the actual dumbass. Drake's the actual dumbass. Why not keep both, you dumbass piece of shit? Bye, Zilla said sadly. Comodothrax was dragged out of the storage room. Then she heard a terrible sound. A gunshot. Zilla, she screamed. She then cried. She absolutely cried her eyes out. Then the men ran out of the room with their pants on fire. Then yellow atomic breath shot out of the room. Zilla came out. Zilla, she screamed happily and tackled him. I thought they killed you, Comodothrax said. Well, they almost did, Zilla said, and Comodothrax looked. A bullet zipped over his head and into his tail. Gasp! Are you all right? She asked. Well, you're standing over me right now, Zilla said. Little asshole. He got up and held Comodothrax's hand. Hold your breath, Zilla said. They jumped in the water. Zilla, being the better swimmer, he pulled Comodothrax to the beach. But when they got out of the water, the pain of the bullet wound suddenly kicked in. Well, you were in salt water, so... Ah! Zilla yelled. He was holding his head and his tail. Comodothrax picked him up on her back and went to the cave. In the cave, Comodothrax was looking at Zilla's wounds. The one that missed his head wasn't too bad, but the one in his tail was pretty bad. If it missed his head, why is there a wound? Answer me that. It was almost through and through. She tried to pull it out, but Zilla screamed in pain. I gotta get it out, Comodothrax said softly. I know, Zilla said, trying to bear the pain. Zilla held Comodothrax's hand, and she used her other hand to get it out. When she put her hand in the reach for it, Zilla shut his eyes and breathed faster to try not to scream. He squeezed Comodothrax's hand. She managed to get the bullet out. She threw it in the corner. It still feels like it's there, Zilla said softly. It's gonna be like that for a while, tough guy, Comodothrax said and kissed him. It might go away faster than I thought, Zilla said, putting his hand over where she kissed him. So Comodothrax turned him over and kissed him on the lips. How about now, she asked. Oh yes, Zilla said. Still, I can't believe you took my place in being killed, Comodothrax said. I had to. I care about you, Zilla said, putting his hand over his head. They both hugged and they went to sleep. They aren't going to bang? I thought this was going to be a raunchy sex scene. A little dinosaur erotica. Except it's two monsters or whatever the fuck. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so that's... that's part 6. We might as well just do this whole thing, right? Now on to part 7. Zilla was doing his usual fishing in the beach. He loved the smell of trout in the morning. He just resurfaced with 3 trout fish in his mouth. He went to the cave and put the fish in. The crevice is full, Zilla thought. Maybe eat some fucking fish, Zilla. Or don't overfish your, area. He could finally take a breather from collecting all the fish, so he went back to the beach. They just rot in there, though, right? They're just rotting. He decided to curl up on the beach and almost fell asleep when he heard something. Hi, Zilla. Zilla was so surprised he jumped. Comodothrax, every time I'm having a good time, you decide to scare me, Zilla said. When are you ever having a good time? Comodothrax asked, curling up next to him. Well, the fight with the hunter was fun. The fishing is fun, too, Zilla said. Comodothrax shook her head. You've never had any real fun, have you? She asked. Guess not, Zilla said. I don't understand this train of thought. Just then Comodothrax tackled him and they started to wrestle. After wrestling, Zilla had Comodothrax pinned down. Tee-hee. Well, that was your idea of fun, she said, getting up. But real fun is getting into trouble, she said. What did you have in mind, Zilla said. Comodothrax smiled a wicked smile. Let's go to the place you ran away from, she said. Zilla's eyes widened. Come on, you were a little baby last time you were there. Now you're a full-speed fighter, she said. Meh, why not, Zilla said. So he was horrified, and now he's like, why not? So they went to Manhattan? Whatever. Now Comodothrax may not be that good of a swimmer as Zilla, but she still got there pretty easily. They crossed the ocean, though. This is... I guess the author just, couldn't think of more for them to do on the island. They got to the harbor but kept to the water. So what do you mean trouble, Zilla asked. When the coast was clear, they leapt out of the water and walked across the docks. Comodothrax asked. She scratched a boat deeply and it sunk. Oh, Zilla said. They sneakily traveled through Manhattan until Zilla wandered away from Comodothrax. They're just sneaking around Manhattan. No one can fucking see them. I mean, they're still probably relatively small at this point, but and earlier it said they'd grown, so... Zilla, she said, she saw him go down a big crater. I guess it's probably the Madison Square Garden crater from the movie. She followed him in the hole until she saw Zilla staring at a broken eggshell. That's where I hatched, Zilla said. Comodothrax put her hand on Zilla's shoulder. Come on, don't get sentimental on me, she said. What? Isn't the whole point of going to his birthplace to be sentimental? Why would she take him to Manhattan if it wasn't about sentiment and stuff? But Zilla looked at the giant footprint made by his dad. No one was there. What kind of dad did I have? Zilla wondered. A dead-ass dad. Probably a bad one, Comodothrax said. As they looked around, they saw other eggshells. Also, what an insensitive thing to say. I had brothers and sisters, Zilla said. Where are they? He said. He suddenly stumbled on a couple of bodies of the baby Zillas. Comodothrax gasped. The big explosion. I'm a survivor, Zilla realized. Comodothrax hugged Zilla. Then they stumbled on a newspaper. Zilla picked it up and looked at it. I love how he can read and write. That's my favorite. There were pictures of Zilla Jr. destroying buildings and killing people. Zilla realized he had a horrible family. Oh, no, that says Zilla Sr. I'm sorry, I misread that. Zilla Sr. destroying buildings and killing people. Zilla realized he had a horrible family. My dad was a killer. And my brothers all died, Zilla said. He was trying to think it over, but he almost forgot Comodothrax was with him. Zilla looked at Comodothrax. That means they want me dead too, Zilla said. I mean, yeah, it does. It does mean that. They both looked around They both looked around Manhattan, sticking to the shadows. They saw all the damage Zilla Sr. did, destroyed buildings, big holes. It was catastrophic. Comodothrax felt bad for Zilla, seeing how close he was to dying. That's obviously phrased incorrectly. Maybe seeing how close he was to death, or how close he was to dying back then. Seeing how close he was to dying makes it feel like the now. So phrase that differently. She felt scared. Then Zilla stumbled on the military base. Zilla, wait, I think we should, Comodothrax said. But Zilla was already going. She just grunted and ran after him. Zilla saw all kinds of weapons, helicopters, bazookas. He overheard two guards talking. How could you have missed it? It was news all over the world, one said. Sorry, but I don't watch the news. Only the weather program. So tell me what happened, the other said. Okay, here's the story of Godzilla, the other said. Zilla perked up with Comodothrax listening as well. If you want to do this exposition, maybe have Zilla watch a news report, or maybe have the military man fill out a report. And they're discussing the report while they're filling it out. But a guy not knowing what happened, even though he's on the military base, which means his job there would have been to fight Godzilla, but doesn't know what Godzilla was after it's all said and done. That's the dumbest fucking thing. They say he was an iguana from a bombing from the French incident 30 years ago. He started in Jamaica, but swam to Manhattan. He destroyed everything. The only thing we could lure it with was fish. He couldn't resist. What was worse, he destroyed all the machines we had to throw at him, and dodged all the missiles. He was really fast. The worst part was, without getting a mate, he laid over 200 eggs. Are you serious, the other asked. Yeah, I'm dead serious, the other said. Zilla was feeling uneasy. I heard a bunch of people went down there to destroy the eggs, but the eggs hatched, and because they smelled like fish, they ate 4 of them. Yeesh, could you imagine if they let the eggs survive? Zilla put his head down. They would devour everything and everyone, destroying all buildings. Anyway, the folks there put a broadcast to bomb the place, so the fighters swooped down and bombed the place to bits. All the babies were killed. The problem was Godzilla was freaking mad, so he chased the folks in a taxi all over Manhattan. Luck had it, they got Godzilla stuck in the cables. He was a clear shot for our fighters. With a few missiles, he went down like a rock. We finally killed him, but it wasn't the end. There's more, the other asked. Oh yeah, the other said. They went back to the place to look for survivors. One of them found an egg that hatched. Zilla perked up and knew it was him. For some reason, it didn't eat the guy, but he scared it off by hitting an electric pole. It swam away in the sea. So now we gotta focus all our attention on that lost baby before he grows and follows in his father's footsteps. Oh, Jesus. Zilla laid down. He began to cry. I'm in a terrible and horrible family, Zilla said. Komodothrax got down. I'm sorry, Zilla, I really am, Komodothrax said, hugging him. Oh, she knows this is all her fault that he's finding this out. Now they think I'm a killer, Zilla said. Come on, let's go, Komodothrax said. But as they were sneaking out, they ran into the beam. Like a light beam? Not good, Komodothrax said. The alarm went off. Intruder in area 1988. Intruder in area 1998, sorry. Intruder in area 1998. Not a subtle reference. The alarm said. The next thing you know, the army came out and surrounded them. Look, it's that leftover Godzilla baby, along with a girl, one said. So if they're seeing her now, how come Nick didn't know she existed until the episode she's featured in the TV show? Plot hole! Yeah, and it's still the size of us. Guns should work, the other said. Shoot them both, another asked. Yeah, they're both mutations, another said, and made that sound you hear when readying a gun. I got an idea, Zilla said. Follow my lead. Zilla and Komodothrax got on the floor with their hands spread. Wait, are they surrendering, one asked. I think so, another one said. Just then Zilla began to dig. He's making a break for it, they said, and began shooting, but it was too late. They escaped. Hicks, we just encountered baby Zilla, one said. What? And it got away? It's the size of a human, Hicks said over the radio. Well, I hate to say it, but it's actually smart. The guard said, Are you telling me you got outsmarted by a lizard? Get your submarines and pursue it, Hicks said. Oh my fucking God. Zilla held Komodothrax and swam as fast as he could, but the Marines were on his tail. Target locked, fire, the officer yelled. Missiles headed for the two young lizards, but Zilla was not giving up that easily. 2 missiles headed for him, so he stopped swimming and the missiles ran into each other. How long can you keep it up? Komodothrax asked. As long as you're still with me, Zilla said. Komodothrax felt really happy. The missiles hit each other. The creatures might actually be smart, the comrade said. Keep firing, the officer said. Way too many missiles headed for both of them. Zilla dodged with all the missiles following him. Then he ran alongside the boat. Call the missiles off, the officer said. Is that how missiles work? And the missiles sank before they could hit the boat. Get the harpoon, the officer yelled. Zilla wasn't swimming that deep. A mate went to the bow and aimed at Zilla. Zilla noticed this just in time and dodged the shot, but the rope caught Komodothrax's tail. That doesn't seem possible, but okay. Zilla, she screamed. Zilla held her. Pull it back, the officer yelled. The mate pulled the harpoon up, and Zilla and Komodothrax were skyrocketed to the boat. Zilla used his atomic breath to break the harpoon gun and untangled Komodothrax. What? Everyone get your guns, the officer said, putting the ship on autopilot. All the mates ran to the deck and tried to shoot Zilla, while Komodothrax was hanging on the edge safely. Zilla was too fast, though. We can't get a clean shot, the mate yelled. I'll do it, the officer said. Zilla did a risky move and leapt at the officer, breaking his gun with his jaws. Zilla snarled at him and made all the mates drop their guns. Why? Then he jumped off the boat and clawed it a lot. Captain, Zilla just made our boat sink. The mate yelled. Turn it around, get back to Manhattan. Oh, really? I thought the boat sank, though. Wasn't he just telling him the boat sank? Then how are they turning it around? Oh, I think he meant Zilla is making our boat sink. Not Zilla just made our boat sink. So they turned the ship around while Zilla and Komodothrax got back to the island. At the cave, Komodothrax checked if Zilla got shot again. He did. He got a through and through in his tail. The same place where Drake shot him. In the same spot? Jesus Christ. You got a hole in your tail, Komodothrax said worryingly. I'm sure it will heal, Zilla said. In the meantime, you can't use it, Komodothrax said. Well, I'm sure it was worth it for all that fun. There are quotes on fun, Zilla said. Sorry, Komodothrax said, feeling guilty. Actually, I'm glad you dragged me there. I finally learned about my family. Now I can avoid everything they did, Zilla said. Komodothrax smiled at this. Zilla curled up before yelling at the pain from his tail. You gotta be careful, Komodothrax said, and she curled up next to him, holding his tail. Zilla felt secure of his pain with Komodothrax holding his tail, and they went to sleep. And that's part 7. We have one more part left, which is part 8. It's a little bit longer than the other parts, but we're still going to do it. It has 18 comments. Holy crap. We might look at the comments after because I'm a bit curious. So yeah, just one more part. Part 8! The day started no different than any other day. Morning came. Zilla opened his eyes. He looked around and saw his girlfriend, Komodothrax, sleeping next to him. He carefully gets up. Okay, so a tense change. That's weird. Making sure not to wake her up. Stretches his tail and yawns cutely. He heads out and then goes to the lake to make the water wake him up and catch some fish. He has a mouthful for the crevice. He was going through the jungle and heard trees rustling. He knew just what to expect. Komodothrax jumped out trying to scare him. Bwah! She yelled as Zilla grabbed her and pinned her to the ground, dropping his fish. Nice try, Zilla said with a smile. Komodothrax just laughed. Tee-hee, it's no fun when you're expecting me, she said. Zilla let her get up. Okay, usually when you try to scare me, you want to tell me something, Zilla said. Yeah. Well, what did you want to tell me, Zilla asked. Well, Komodothrax said, standing on her hind legs, scratching the back of her head. Zilla was anxious. Well, you know, we admitted that we love each other, right? Right. Well, now I want to ask, Komodothrax tried to say. Zilla was getting confused. Oh, forget it, Komodothrax said, looking disappointed. Zilla hated to see Komodothrax sad, so he went up to her and licked her. She giggled. Thanks, she said, lifting her mood. So they kept going through the day like usual. Oh, boy. They wrestled a lot, but Zilla liked to fish a lot. What? Every time he dipped in the water, Komodothrax just looked at him sadly and sighed. So he's just like trying to leave her to go fish. She was still sad that she couldn't tell Zilla something. Zilla stuck his head out of the water and looked around. Zilla, Komodothrax said. Zilla only acted like this when he sensed danger. What is it, she asked. At the beach, Zilla said. They went and it was indeed terrible. The military showed up. Oh no. My nose is really itchy if you can't tell. Oh man. Search the island. The scanner picked up something big here, said a man in uniform. It was Major Hicks. Yes, sir, some soldiers said. They started to climb over the cliffs. Okay, so I guess they must have grown a lot. Great, any ideas, Komodothrax asked. I'm thinking, Zilla said. He decided to take them out quietly. He dug sinkholes all over the trails. It wasn't long until all of them fell in. Misspellings galore in this story. Something was expecting us, sir, a soldier said over the radio. What happened, Major Hicks said. Well, it appears all of us fell in sinkholes that were recently dug out, and none of us can get out. So he's just calling from a sinkhole. No big deal. Holes, he's here. Get out of the holes and get back to the ship ASAP, Major said. That should be Hicks said. More than likely, right? Understood, the soldiers said. They eventually got out of the holes and retreated. No one helped them out of the holes. They just did it themselves. Don't always have to fight to win, Zilla said. Komodothrax licked Zilla and he started to blush. So they went through the rest of the day normally and went to sleep. So they're not worried about them coming back? Whatever. In the morning there were big rumbles. What the? Not again, Zilla said. They went outside and saw a robot constructed to look like Zilla Sr. Metal Zilla is working fine, Major Hicks said in the cockpit. Zilla and Komodothrax gasped. That's the thing, Komodothrax said. That's the thing that killed my parents, she said. What? I totally forgot she had that ominous thing about something that kills her parents. I feel like the author might have forgotten too. But, okay, plot hole filled in. Zilla looked back at her. So that's why you were scared of me when you saw me. That thing looks like me, Zilla said, but he knew it was made from looking at Zilla Sr. Zilla took a deep breath and started to go towards it when Komodothrax grabbed his tail, which was healed. Zilla, are you crazy? That thing is humongous, she said. All the other mutations Zilla fought were about 4 to 5 feet tall. This robot was close to 140 feet. No, they said the Cobra was as big as his dad. In that story, I'm sure they did. Zilla grabbed her hand. I gotta do it, he said. He gave Comodothrax a smile and ran off. Comodothrax's heart was racing. The thing that killed her parents was gonna kill Zilla too. Zilla decided to play it safe and dug a sinkhole first. When he was done, he roared at Metal Zilla to get his attention. Aha, Hicks said through the speaker. He started for Zilla when Metal Zilla's foot fell through the sinkhole. Arg, you little monster, he said. Zilla started to laugh his tail off when he saw Metal Zilla's eyes glow red. Of course, if something glows red, it can't be good. Metal Zilla stuck out his hand and wires went for Zilla full of electricity, but Zilla was too small and fast. Dang, Hicks said, and finally got the foot out. Metal Zilla tried to stomp on Zilla, but he dodged it and climbed up the leg. Metal Zilla tried to shoo it off, but Zilla hung on tight. When he got to the face, he swiped and swiped. He lost his footing and started to fall through. Luckily, he grabbed the hand. He landed on the ground at a safer height. Metal Zilla tried to swing his tail at Zilla. Zilla tried to jump over, but the tail was too big, and Zilla went flying at a rock side. Whoosh. He quickly got up and started to dig another sinkhole, but Metal Zilla dug two and caught Zilla in his mouth. He threw Zilla to the ground at a very dangerous height. Zilla was battered and beaten. Metal Zilla is a success, Hicks said, but his eyes widened to see Zilla still get up. Ugh. He staggered and was about to pass out, but he still got up. He could hardly lift his head, though. Metal Zilla opened its mouth and was about to finish Zilla off with one last blow. Zilla looked back at Comodothrax. She was scared and worried. It's for Comodothrax. For her life, Zilla thought, and used up the last of his energy and all his life could give him, and sucked in one deep breath. Metal Zilla fired his plasma laser at Zilla, but Zilla used the last of his energy to use a red spiral atomic breath. It penetrated the plasma laser and went through Metal Zilla's head, barely missing the cockpit. Hicks used the emergency pod, got out, and flew away. Zilla used all his energy to do that atomic breath. He fell to the ground, catching his breath, trying not to pass out. Comodothrax at first was happy, but then she went as pale as a ghost when she saw what was happening. The remains of Metal Zilla were starting to topple. Right on Zilla! Zilla saw what was happening, but he was too tuckered out to move. Tuckered out. He looked at Comodothrax sadly, then smiled, and slowly waved his hand. Then Metal Zilla fell to the ground. Zilla! Comodothrax yelled. She ran to the robot. There was no way Zilla could have survived all that coming down on him. Surely he was dead. Comodothrax put her face on the robot and cried her eyes out. She couldn't believe that the robot that took away her parents and her best friend. She couldn't believe that the robot took away her parents and her best friend. Okay, a little more than best friend, but fine. She didn't even tell him something she had been keeping in. Just then she felt a hand reach for her claw. She stopped crying and looked up to see Zilla popping out of a hole he made from the atomic breath. What a coincidence. How convenient. Zilla, she said, and hugged him badly. She was squeezing really hard. I'm all right, Zilla said, still tired. Comodothrax pulled back. Zilla, I want to tell you something, she said. Okay, Zilla said. Giggle. Later, I mean, she said. Fuck me. In the middle of the night, Comodothrax woke up and woke Zilla up too. So she's waiting till the middle of the night? Zilla stretched and followed Comodothrax to the secret route hidden off by the bushes. It led up to the top of the mountain, but it wasn't cold. It was amazing. Stars were brighter than you could ever imagine, with a full moon out. It was beautiful. This person needs to learn how to spell beautiful for real. Every time they spelled it, it's been different and wrong. Comodothrax sat next to Zilla. Zilla, this place is very special. My mother brought me here when I was little. She said she brought my dad here when they met. She said to me to bring someone here that I want to spend my life with, she said. Zilla was a little confused. I don't know why. It was very obvious. Comodothrax looked at the ground, then deep into Zilla's big orange eyes. Zilla, what I'm trying to say is, she tried to say. Zilla turned his head to the side like a curious puppy. She took a deep breath and looked back at Zilla. Zilla, would you be, B, she finally said it. "Zilla, would you like to be my mate?" she said, and quickly looked away. Zilla was completely taken by surprise. He knew Komodothrax loved him, but he never knew she took him that far? Komodothrax looked back at Zilla a little scared. "I'm speechless," Zilla said. "Please just say yes or no," Komodothrax said nervously. "Yes," Zilla said. Komodothrax looked so happy when Zilla said that. She tackled him and hugged him. She squeezed as hard as she could. "Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you," she said. She started to have tears of joy. Zilla hugged back and used his tail to brush away Komodothrax's tears. "You're welcome," he said. He also wanted something like this. They pulled back and did a big, long kiss on the lips, like lizards do. They hugged again, putting their tails around each other. After they were done, Zilla curled up and Komodothrax curled up. They curled up so close to each other, they put their tails around each other. They both fell asleep until, spelled incorrectly, learn to spell. Zilla moved his tail and tickled Komodothrax's foot. She woke up. "Zilla," she said. Zilla opened one eye. He closed it and snickered. They went to sleep. Zilla and Komodothrax were now, as you call it in the animal kingdom, married. No, they aren't. They're just gonna fuck. As you call it in the animal kingdom? No. Maybe as you call it in the human world? I could have let that slide. As you call it in the animal kingdom? Nah. That seems to be the end. About everything Zilla did in between the time of the 1998 Godzilla movie and Godzilla the animated series, or Godzilla the series. But it doesn't explain everything, which was the whole point of this. The whole point of this was to explain what Zilla did in that time, but why does he leave her? Eventually he leaves her and goes back to Manhattan to hang out with Nick. Why does he leave her? And then he finds her again in another episode in the show. So it doesn't actually explain what he did. Okay, so someone called Xenomorph9 commented, "This was a good series." And then SmashProX, the author of the series, wrote, "I suppose, I really don't think so. It's exactly what a rookie writes." And then Xenomorph9 was like, "Still, it was a good story." I gotta admit, though, going into this, I didn't expect a romance. I expected a romance going into the Mothra Godzilla stuff. But, I don't know. I mean, there are multiple comment replies where SmashProX says they aren't going to continue this series. So this is the end. As a concept, I don't really have a problem with it. They didn't do what they set out to do, which was bridge the gap between the movie and the show. I feel like they didn't accomplish that. But if you're into kaiju love stories, which I've somehow ended up reading multiple times, this is my third kaiju love story I've read. The first Mothra's Diary, the second Mothra's Diary, and then this. It's all Gucci. It's all Gucci. I mean, it wasn't that good, but I enjoyed reading it, I suppose. It's unique. How do I keep ending up reading kaiju love stories? I don't know. But if you know any other fun fan fictions that you would like me to read, or any like kind of books or anything, send them to me on Twitter at B3 Productions, like I said in the beginning. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can see our next B3 reads and many of our other videos. We have lots of other Godzilla-related videos and kaiju-related videos. Be sure to check those out. Got more coming. I have a bad ads editing right now. Then I'm going to edit some other B3 reads. Next time, I think we're going to do more dinosaur erotica. I think that's what we're going to do next time. More Taken by the T-Rex. That's it. Thank you all once again for your support. And I'll see y'all later.